Hello, 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 everyone. Nicole Roberts Jones here, and welcome to the special edition of Bankroll Your Brings Thursdays, a time we connect your purpose with your faith, and profit, right? And that's what we mean by bankroll. So, usually on Thursdays, we talk all things business and all things that surround you growing your purpose focused businesses. But either you're watching this on Thanksgiving or a few days thereafter, I want to take this time to stop and reflect and do something special with you. I think oftentimes we are so busy focused on what's next, what's next, what's next, that we forget to stop and be present into what's now and even to what we have already done. So for this special episode of Bankroll Your Brains Thursdays, listen, being thankful is bigger than Thanksgiving. I want to stop and talk about how you can add more thankfulness in your life that's going to actually begin to bring more to you. Mhm. So with that, let me start with this Bible verse. First Thessalonians 5:18 says, "In everything give thanks." In everything. Now, when you think about Ephesians 5:20, that says, "All things work together for the good." Even when things don't feel good or don't look like they're good, you should still give thanks. Because 9 times out of 10, you're going through that and it will teach you a powerful lesson if you stop and sit in it long enough. So I want you to think about burdens that you have, moments you're in overwhelm, moments that just don't feel good. Can I encourage you to stop in that moment and find something to be thankful for instead of allowing it to burn you out, frustrate you, make you want to quit, make you want to give up, all the things that deter us from all that God has for us? That includes your brilliance. What I know for sure is so many people that I am blessed to coach, to teach, to work with spend so much time focused on what they're not instead of focusing on what they are. So, again, this episode, as we give thanks for Thanksgiving, I'm going to extend that past Thanksgiving. I'm going to give you some practices to add into your life. So, I have notes so I don't forget, right? Because listen, number one, again, I said this a few minutes ago, we focus so much on what we've already, on what we have yet to do on our to do list that we don't focus on our already done list. So, the first thing I want to encourage you to do is create an already done list. So grab a pen, grab a paper, and write out all the things you've already accomplished. Maybe you've graduated from college. That's an accomplishment. Maybe many of you have children. That's an accomplishment. You've gotten awards on your current job. That's an accomplishment. Take the time to write down everything you've done. And maybe you might call this a brag list. Okay, great. Because I don't want you to forget who you already are on the way to who you have not yet become. Because all of those things are fuel to your next. So when I think about who I am and the fact that I worked in the entertainment industry, and many of you guys have heard my story. If you haven't, let me tell it really quickly. So this year marks 28 years as I'm recording this episode of being in this work. But I stumbled on this work when I already had the job I've dreamed of since I was 7 years old. So I worked in the entertainment industry back in 1993 when God knocked on the door of my spirit and told me he had more for me to do. And I'm sharing that with you because many of you that watch me weekly, that's the exact place you're in. And my greatest gift, my greatest honor is to hold the space for you to go and get it. Because for me, I had nowhere to go. I didn't know what the heck was going on. I didn't know why I was feeling like something was missing when I absolutely loved my job. So back in 1993, I worked in the entertainment industry. Again, it was the job I have dreamed of since I was little. I was doing it. Back then, I worked for Viacom's largest cable network. We had an outreach to over 89 million homes on a weekly basis. And then from there, I worked in casting on the number one TV show on Fox in the 90s. And then from there, I was elevated into a position working for a production company. And listen, what we produced generated over 12.6 billion with a B, right? $1 billion a year. So I'm sharing that with you because I was playing big. I loved every minute of it. And listen, every night, despite the fact that I was living what I had dreamed of and what many people dream of, my dream became my nightmare. And I didn't know why I was feeling like that because I love my job. So how could I feel like something is missing? How could I feel so disjointed? But I did. And so to make a really long story short, what I realized now is that God was pivoting my purpose We all go through what I call a purpose matriculation system in this thing called life. And I'm not going to get into training. It's going to go back to thankful, but I want you to get this. And what God uses at this level, he grows it to the next. He grows it to the next. I call it a purpose matriculation system because we go through the education system, don't we? We started elementary or kindergarten or pre-K, depending on where you started. Then you go through elementary and junior high and high school, and some of us college, and some of us master's degrees, and some PhDs, and some get accredited, and some go through certification programs. But that's a education matriculation system. Well, God does the same thing because he continues to expand your territory. So what I didn't realize then is that God had another level of my purpose for me. So cut to now, doing the work that I do now, some 28 years later. So obviously in that moment, I discovered my purpose. I've told that story. Some of you have been here for a while. I'm not going to go into it today, but here's what I do want you to get. Ephesians 3:20, all things work together for the good. But if I didn't stop long enough to acknowledge the fact that I have learned producing, I've been worked in production, that I worked in casting, that I then went back to school, got my master's degree in social work. So I also know how to meet people where they are. The work that I do now, I do those three things on a daily basis. I produce my clients. I really take your purpose and find the best role for it in your business. And then I'm meeting you where you are, not where I think you should be, not where the world says you should be, but where God has for you and where you are, so I can get you from there to there. So I had to celebrate what I knew because you go through what I call see nothing days as you start your business. And if you can't celebrate what you have done, you get lost in feeling like you'll never get to the place. Listen, I talked about this a few episodes ago. Though the vision tarry, wait for it. The thankful is what gives you the fuel to tarry. It also gives you the fuel because you are reminded of what God has already seen you through. So I want you to this weekend, if you don't get to do it today, I want you to promise yourself in the next 2 days to write out your already done list. And there's so many things you've already done you forgot. Like I remember being on student council in high school. That helped me grow leadership skills. I remember being the vice president of the African American Student Union in college. I remember being the editor I'm the assistant editor of the Black Student newspaper at my college. All those things contributed to my entertainment industry experience. I worked at KPBS on our college campus the entire time I was at school. I moved from intern to I became the floor director. That helped me get my huge entertainment jobs. Now I'm sharing all that with you because I have to celebrate what I have already accomplished. And yet, no, there's more for me. Okay. So, one, I want you to stop and celebrate who you already are, what you've already done. And then as you celebrate it, thank God that He's seen you through it, through and through, right? And then I want you to think about as you've gone through each level, there have been people that have been catalysts to those next levels. Maybe it was a mentor you met that you never thanked. Maybe it was a silent mentor that you'll never be able to thank. The last month, I have had the privilege of a man that's been my silent mentor for 2 years. He's now my coach. Didn't know the opportunity was going to come, didn't know God was going to open the door. But as you sit in gratitude, you watch how opportunities open for you. See, I never wrote down, God, I want him to be my coach. I just was thankful that he was carving a path. That I promise you, he's like my brother. He says thoughts that I would think, and I'm like, that's why I've been watching him for 2 years. Matter of fact, my business bestie that I met in the mastermind sent me a sermon that he preached, and he preached a sermon that was the same as my event, what I had just taught at an event. And my bestie said, "Oh my God, Nicole, you got to watch this." And the rest is history. And this thanking God for putting him in my path and sitting in that gratitude. And every time he or TD Jakes or anybody else I watch, coaches included, preach or do workshops, I sit in gratitude for what I got from each lesson. You guys get that? So even if I don't thank them personally, I've in my prayers, I thank at night. But those people that have somehow touched you, moved you, inspired you, helped you, supported you, take a moment and say thank you. Don't automatically assume that they know that you appreciate them. Sometimes people don't realize that they've made a contribution to who you be, right? So then in addition to doing your already done list and thanking people, here are 3 practices I want to encourage you to add to your life. I want you to start to notice. Start to notice when things are happening around you. I call this your being. So there's a principle I teach my clients, which I call be, do, have. So many people focus on do what I need to do, what do I need to do, so we can have all that we desire. But the missing ingredient is actually your being. See, every day when you show up, your being is present. Everywhere you go, there you are. So if you don't stop and sit in your being, see, God shows up in your being. And if you could stop, and what do they say, smell the roses? I think we're so focused on where we're going. If the little wins you do every day, the little, like maybe you've been trying to make a phone call for 3 weeks, celebrate. I made the call today. I had a meeting with somebody I've been trying to meet with for 6 months. Really taking the moment to celebrate where you are and start to notice that every small step leads to the big step. But if you're not thankful for the small, sometimes you'll lose the momentum to get to the big. So start to notice. Start to notice when people make introductions and when people do little things that are helpful to you. Like my husband, right before I got on this, I have to go return some things because I bought some things and either they didn't fit or they're not what I thought they were. And I have a whole thing of returns down there. My husband said, well, maybe I can take them back. So I looked at him and I said, thank you. That would help me so much. So it's really appreciating when people go out of their way to help you because people don't have to do those things and not expecting anything in return, just wanting them to be acknowledged and seen for what they do. And even to add to that, maybe pick a thankful day. Maybe once a week, you make sure you reach out to one person. I know I've been more intentional about this because as my business grows more and more, I get busier, right? To whom much is given, much is required. That's what God said. So maybe take a thankful day and take a moment to thank people. Take a moment to call somebody once a week and just say thankful. Thank you. And just tell them how they blessed you. I've been more intentional with making sure I call at least one friend. Listen, I'm not a talker on the phone kind of girl. I don't just talk for no reason. I call with purpose. That's just who I've always been. So my husband and I get along really, really well because we both travel a lot and we can text and never call each other. And it's all good, right? So I've had to be intentional about making phone calls at least once a week because I'll never call. Just how I am, right? But I've got to realize if I want people to feel and understand the contribution they've made to me, I've got to acknowledge it. Do the same with my team. Is to say thank you and let them know how much they've contributed to my life, my business, my world, my day, my moment. When my bonus children come in my birthday, I always say, you have made my day. And they really have because they didn't have to call. They didn't have to send me a gift. My bonus daughter sent me a gift this year and I was blown away at the gift. I was like, girl, but you got to acknowledge it and let people know how they are moving your world, right? And it really is about taking time. The other thing is, those of you as you're growing your business, it's really thanking God for the gifts that you have. When people call you to tease things out or pick your brain, or when you get your boss puts you on that special assignment at work, or that new client that just enrolled, it's being thankful to God for the gift in you. It's being thankful and taking the time to do what it takes to multiply that gift and do more. Now, those of you that have been around us, and I know one of the biggest questions people ask is about purpose. It's about being clear on your purpose. So, because of that, as my thank you to you, I'm going to gift you. I'm going to give you two gifts in this episode. Yeah, I usually give one. Today, I'm giving two. One is for Black Friday, I'm running a special, and I want to make sure my Black Doctor Tribe gets this special. So my Power of One program right now is $500 off, only until Tuesday, November 30th. Now, in this program, it literally helps you get clear on what your purpose is, who is it for, how do you monetize it, and everything in between. Many of you that have started businesses. If your business is not generating revenue, it's because your purpose isn't clearly defined in your business. People call it a niche, but it really is purpose definition that then defines what that niche should be. So again, $500 off. That's my gift to you, Black Friday. Look, most Black Friday gifts are about giving things to other people and giving material things. How about you give God a gift back because of his investment in you? So he invested gifts and talents in you. How you give God a gift back is you then grow that gift. There's a parable in Matthew that talks about, go look at it. I think it's Matthew 24, 14 through 30. I believe that's it. If it's not, I'll come back and write it in show notes. That's the parable of the talents. And the boss gives talents to three employees. One employee, he gives talent, and talent is think of as money, right? And he invested. Second invested. The third does nothing with it. So when the boss comes back and says, okay, give me my stuff back, how'd you do with the talents I asked you to hold? The first one says, I invested and got 3 times more. Second one says, I invested and got 2 times more. The third one did nothing and therefore had no level of increase. So which employee would you be? Will you be the first one and invest in the gift that got placed in you so it can grow? Or will you be like the third one and do nothing with it? If you're saying, I'm ready to grow it, get clear on it so I can grow it, then Power of One, that gift is for you. Again, $500 off, you'll see it. Power of One online is where you go to grab that gift. Now, my second gift to get you, and this is a gift I found online, so I didn't create this gift, but I found it that I'd share it, is a gratitude prayer and journal. Just 30 days. I found this online. So this is, as I was researching for this episode, as I do for every episode, I stumbled upon this. And I thought some of you guys may need to learn how to pray in thankfulness. And it says, they say it takes 21 days to form a habit. So if you do this for the next 30, you'll be in the habit of being thankful 24/7. So there you see it on the screen where you go get that 30-day prayer. And it's like a gratitude journal on prayer. All right. So, with that, as we celebrate with our friends and family for this holiday, as you sit in contemplation on who you be and how God has created you and all the things you should be thankful for, I want you to take a moment to allow thankfulness to extend beyond Thanksgiving and think about all the ways you can add gratitude in your life every day. As you start or grow your business, as you focus on becoming the highest and best version of who God created you to be. That is why I hope this space for you every Thursday. And as we sit in quiet contemplation and are thankful, I'm going to say thank you to all of you. See, I'm thankful that you allow me to pour into you. I'm thankful that you trust me with your gift and you allow me to bring guests in and you ask questions. And some of you reflect on what I teach you, and some of you become clients. So I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I get to serve you in this space. I'm thankful that God has called me to do this work. And I'm thankful that you see value in it. So, with that said, that's it. Quick episode as we celebrate Thanksgiving. I want to ask you to do me one other favor. If you found value in this, share it. Let's create a thankful village. All of us flourishing in our gifts, all of us growing, magnifying, multiplying our gifts. So we'll be like that employee that got blessed for the investment, right? So invite other people in your village to join you in the journey of growing your gift. All right. So with that, that is it for this episode of Bankroll Your Brilliance Thursdays. Again, I'm thankful for you. I hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving. I'll see you next week for another episode. Bye, y'all.